As the Prime Minister is officially chosen as the leader of the National Democratic Alliance, a big allegation has come from opposition leader Rahul Gandhi. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Today, we will be doing a deep dive into the allegation that has come from the Congress leader accusing Narendra Modi and Amit Shah of being directly complicit in what the Congress leader is calling one of the biggest scams in stock market history. Rahul Gandhi held a press conference to talk about how he believed that fake exit polls, that's his phrase, not mine, but the exit polls did turn out to be wrong. Fake exit polls drove volatility at the market. He also questioned why, in interviews during the campaign, the Home Minister and the Prime Minister had spoken about investment advice. In different interviews, he pointed out that the Home Minister and the Prime Minister had spoken about investing because they believed that the stock market was going to go through the roof on 4th June. That's the day of the results. Instead, the opposite happened. While the market soared after the exit poll, the market plummeted on the actual results coming in. In a way, the markets might have been responding to the news of a coalition government instead of the BJP getting a simple majority. The BJP says Rahul Gandhi's allegations are baseless, that he's not been able to reconcile himself to defeat, and that Rahul Gandhi has made absolutely unfounded charges based on market volatility that they point out has now been stabilized. In fact, the market is once again at an all-time high today. How do we understand these allegations? Let's introduce our guests on the program today. Joining us is Tushar Gupta, political analyst. Welcome to the program, Tushar. Also joining us is Sherbir Panag, lawyer and analyst. Welcome, Sherbir. Also joining us is Ashwani Mahajan, senior leader of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch. Welcome, Ashwani ji. And Sanjay Jha, Congress supporter, is with us as well. Thank you very much, all of you. I'm going to start by playing out Rahul Gandhi's allegation, and then we can come to all of you for first comments.
What is the connection between the BJP, the fake exit pollsters, and the dubious foreign investors who invested one day before the exit polls were announced and made a huge profit at the cost of 5 crore families? We demand a JPC into this. We are absolutely convinced that this is a scam. Somebody has made thousands of crores of rupees at the cost of Indian retail investors, and the Prime Minister and the Home Minister have given an indication to buy. And this is a criminal act. So we demand today a Joint Parliamentary Committee to investigate this.
Okay, let's begin the conversation. I will start with you, Ashwani ji. How do you look at this allegation? The fact is that the market has shown extreme volatility. The fact is that the market did better in response to the exit polls. Then it sank. It did wipe out, as Rahul Gandhi says, 30 crores in valuation. And then the markets are back at a high. How do you see the allegation that has been made by Rahul Gandhi? Ashwani ji.
See, Barkha, is it for the first time that the markets have gone up and down? It has been going on right from the very beginning of the history of stock markets. This is one. And if they are talking about the 30 lakh crores of rupees of scam, I would say that the whole 10 years of Modi government had gone for approximately $3.5 trillion of scam. Because in the beginning of the Modi government, it was 26,000. Today it is 76,000 something. So the market capitalization has gone up from $1.5 trillion to around $5 trillion. So this is a scam of not 30 lakh crores. This is a scam in the interest of the country for $5 trillion. So it's a very bigger scam. So I welcome this scam. This is my initial remark. Yeah.
Okay, let's open that up with Ashwani Mahajan's rather sarcastic take on proceedings. Sanjay Jha, go ahead.
So I think this is a very serious issue and deserves a little more, I would say, attention. Point number one, Ashwani ji said, what's the big deal? Barkha, it's 10% of a country's GDP wiped off in one day. That's a value that you're talking about. 30 lakh crores. Do we even understand the astronomical dimensions of that historic collapse? Point number one. Point number two, a CEO, I think even Sherbir understands the corporate markets. If a CEO in Mumbai, where I live, whose company is listed here, even privately hints to people that his company's stock price can go up and therefore anybody could buy it, will be indicted for insider trading. It's a criminal act. We all know what happened to one of India's most famous people in the United States who headed McKinsey. Elon Musk, by the way, just tweeted once where he talked about Tesla, being going private, and we know how the SEC fixed him for it. Here we are talking about Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah publicly in an interview to a TV channel owned by a very friendly industrialist, actually talking about buying stocks because it will smash a record and because it's going to boom. I mean, I can tell you, Barkha, let us not be, for God's sake, politically correct here. It is an act which has to be condemned, because think of the number of millions of small investors who buy into that story, especially because Mr. Modi spread this canard, which I call as gaslighting, for a long time, that we are crossing 400. So people were already psychologically brainwashed. Then a couple of days before, in an interview, he says, buy stocks. I mean, I can imagine you are bullish on your political performance. But do Mr. Modi and Shah realize the enormity of what they said? And therefore, Rahul has a point. It goes back to the demonetization debate. I kept saying it then as a banker. And
Okay.
Barkha, please take me. Barkha, just hang on. Please take me seriously here. I don't care for what the right wing, kind of abuses me on Twitter. Frankly, I don't care a hang. I know enough of my finance to tell you this. In demonetization, and I call it a big scam of another epic proportion, how is it that no black money came? Did people know about it earlier? Here is my allegation here, and Rahul is absolutely justified in asking. How is it that some people bought, they knew something was happening, their exit polls were clearly rigged, as we all know. Nobody knew what is going to happen on June 4th. Somebody's made a killing at somebody else's expense. And my last point before I hang up is Piyush Goyal's statement that this is nothing but a notional loss, because you know what? Some people may not have booked a loss or booked a profit. Here is my answer to Piyush Goyal through your program. Dear Piyush, you and I have debated very often pre 2014. Here is my question for you. Piyush, even 2G and the coal allocations that you made a big hue and cry on and actually defeated the Congress, accusing them of corruption, that never happened. They were notional, according to the CAG chief. Even they were notional. So how
Okay.
in the world is that okay? And that 1.76 lakh was big, but 30 lakh crore is okay. I mean, what kind of hypocrisy is this we are watching from the BJP?
Let me play out Piyush Goyal's statement that you've referenced, and I'll come back to Sherbir, Tushar, and then come back to Ashwani ji. Take a look.
से अभी तक शायद राहुल गांधी जी उभरे नहीं है। अब वो मार्केट के इन्वेस्टर्स को भी गुमराह करने की साजिश रच रहे हैं। आज भारत दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बन गई।
Ashwani ji, if you want to come in briefly, Piyush Goyal has, of course, said that Rahul Gandhi's statements reflect a frustration of political defeat, and he's misleading. He's not accurately even explaining the situation. What would you say, though, to what Sanjay Jha has said?
You see, you very well know that I don't make any political statements, and therefore I would restrain myself. But the fact of the matter is that, in all these years, we have now become the 5th largest stock market in the country, in the world. So this has been, and markets have been going up in leaps and bounds, and everybody in the world knows that sometimes these words are used only by the stock market analysts, that market is booming, market is getting corrected, corrections will come this way, that way. All these things are happening. So I don't blame anybody, any political leader, may it be Rahul Gandhi or anybody else, for speaking on these items. Stock market players are very mature people. They know when the market has gone up, it will go down. When it has gone down, it will go up. Nobody is going to sell off all those shares at the lowest price. Let me tell you. So these are only the big players, the FPIs and the
Yeah.
DIIs and all these people. And I always see, Barkha, whenever FPIs are selling off, there is a very developed domestic investors market. They come and buy. So this way, this keeps on happening. But whenever there is a big fall, uh, then this pain is
Yeah.
to be borne by the investors. But this is short term, this thing. And again, the market has gone up. One day on one uh, TV show, somebody asked me, "Oh, Ashwani, what would you say about 500 points downfall in the market?" I told him, "Tomorrow it will be 800 points up," and the same thing happened. Then they called me.
Yeah.
"Oh, Ashwani, you are a big astrologer." I told him that I'm not a big astrologer. I know that if it has come down, it will go up. So this is the nature of the
Okay.
market.
Okay.
Don't say anything.
Okay. Okay. Sanjay, literally one sentence because I have to go to Sherbir and Tushar. One sentence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sanjay?
I'm
Yeah.
making just one sentence. The question here is that India's home minister and India's prime minister telling people to buy stocks. I mean, that is a very serious issue here. And to the best of my knowledge, and nobody can contradict me here, only registered investment advisors with SEBI are allowed legally to tell customers what they have to buy, sell, or hold. Anybody else commenting on it is a serious offense.
Okay, Sherbir, the BJP would argue that the context of those comments was not investment advice, but a projection of the BJP's victory. That it was in that context that they were talking about how the markets, even the markets, the economy, corporate India wants a BJP victory. That's obviously what the BJP would argue. As a lawyer, what do you see at play here?
Barkha, I think there are three dimensions in total. Dimension number one is, should political leaders, including the Prime Minister and the Home Minister of the country, make statements in whatever vein regarding the investment in the stock markets? Absolutely not. That is not something that should be in the spectrum of political discourse in any manner or form. So that's dimension number one. Dimension number two is, what could be the objective of doing so? Objective number one, one way of looking at it is that there was optimism, and markets are generally fueled by optimism. To be able to establish something more, you need to establish incorrect intent or malicious intent. So there was optimism, and if this happened, the same retail investors would have made significant amounts of money, and not so much because of a BJP victory, but more so from the perception of political stability at the center. And
Which is what the
therefore,
which is what the BJP is arguing, that it was A, made in the context of optimism, and B, they don't control how the markets respond, what the mood of the markets is to the politics of the day.
Fair, but I think there are two buts out here which sort of dovetail. Number one, the first statement of the Home Minister was as early as 19th May. So one argument, and without attributing malice, would be that with the hope that this statement happens and investments increase, it would also have a bearing on the final, on the seventh phase of the Lok Sabha polls. So that is something that the assessment of that needs to be taken into account. We may have correlation, but not necessarily causation. I think the third dimension that I was talking about was more specific to the element of the exit polls and the results of those exit polls, the unscientific manner in which they came about, the fact that majority of them made these conclusions. And that is where we had the results of the 3rd of June and ultimately the 4th of June, where we saw the markets significantly dip. I think when you club the two issues, I think on issue number one, I wouldn't go as far as Sanjay on this. as far as, and in while he would be technically correct, I think my position is that politicians should not be commenting on what you should be investing in the markets. But the second position, which is far more egregious, is the actions of the exit pollsters. And what remains to be seen is whether or not there is causation between the BJP and the exit pollsters. Now, one way of really look, and there are only two binaries here. There's only a binary here. Binary number one is that markets increase further on the fourth, everybody is good, that gets attributed to the BJP. But that's a very serious charge. No political party should be making such statements and hoping that the credit of the markets comes back to them. And the second part of it is something more sinister, for which there needs to be evidence. And currently, there's no evidence presented that the BJP and the exit pollsters were hand in glove to achieve this result.
Briefly, before I go to Tushar, given that the exit polls were wrong, that's one argument. But you are attributing some sort of malafide to the pollsters and saying that there's enough prima facie evidence to suggest that there's some link between the volatility of the market and the exit polls.
No, the actions, look, an investor will make an investment choice basis all information that is presented to them. But when with the results that the exit pollsters put across, and I think they have to be held to account for being as wrong as they were, or there should be significant caveats and banners running on news channels saying that do not rely upon these are unscientific. It's basically either Pradeep Gupta or Chanakya or whoever else's imagination. Either we have those kind of disclaimers, but when they are communicated as definitive facts, and retail investors looking, I wouldn't say definitive facts, but when they're communicated with a sense of professionalism, scientific temper, and retail investors go and invest on the basis of, and make investment choices on the basis of it, the exit pollsters have to be held to account. The example Sanjay gave of CEOs and other business leaders, I myself today, if I'm privy to insider information, go and make statements or make outlandish statements that are being a corporate governance leader in the country, go and make a statement about somebody being very good in corporate governance. It would be irresponsible of me to do so when the facts are entirely to the contrary. And I think that is really the crux of the matter as far as the exit pollsters are concerned.
And I think what you're saying is, for the rest, you need an inquiry. Is there a causation? Is there a link between the BJP and the exit poll and the public utterances?
That's
the BJP would argue that's a matter of investigation. I don't think the government is going to accept that demand. Even so, the issues that we are debating still remain. Tushar, how do you see it? Obviously, as I said, the BJP argues that it's baseless, that this was a political context, that the comments about the markets were made more in the context of the confidence of the markets in the BJP. But as it's turned out, given that the exit polls were substantively wrong, not even mildly wrong, but substantively wrong, do you accept that there needs to be some prima facie inquiry, at least into the exit polls?
Well, a few things. Let me tell you a story from 2017. This was December. The Gujarat Assembly elections were coming out, and the exit polls had predicted a BJP victory. Now, the counting started at 9. Until 9:30, the Congress was maintaining a very strong lead, and the markets were crashing then. Suddenly, 9:30, the trends reversed, and the market came up again. So, the markets do not depend on any political party, and the political parties definitely cannot depend on the market. The markets have a will of their own. Also, people do not buy stocks on the day when the exit polls come out. They buy it before. You do not buy when the market is on a high. You buy when the market is on a low. That's how basic rule of investment works. I also want to address Sanjay Jha's point that there is some relationship between the valuation loss and the GDP. I'm sorry, there's not. If you look at the US GDP, that's $28 trillion. But if you look at the combined market cap of NASDAQ and NYSE, that's more than $55 trillion. So to link the stock market market cap being wiped out to GDP, I think that's an incorrect assessment. Now, you talk about the fall in the market on 4th June. Were the exit polls wrong? Look, Barkha, anyone investing in the market will not invest on basing their decision on the exit polls. That, the exit polls might give BJP a majority, so let me invest. Even if you look across the month of May, there was a lot of volatility in the market. There was a lot of up and down, and people were even asking that why is it after the second phase, there is so much volatility in the market? Is the BJP not coming back? So the decisions that the investors take are based on the political sentiment they see. It has absolutely nothing to do with the exit polls. Even until the phase 6 of the elections, the markets were quite volatile. Now, post phase 7, the exit polls come out, suddenly the market goes on a high, 4 June it comes down. But when around 2 p.m., the news is confirmed that the BJP has the numbers to at least get a coalition in house, the markets were rising again. On 4 June itself, that the markets were recovering, and today we are on 7 June. The markets have wiped out their losses. They're already in the green. The investors who may have lost money have made money. We all are investors to a certain degree. We also understand how the markets work. So to link exit polls, or that exit polls are somehow, linked to the markets, or people should not be looking at exit polls to make us investments, I think that's a bit of an incorrect statement. Rahul Gandhi, who's calling out a scam, he in his affidavit stated that he has certain market investments. His own portfolio is 3.5% up. I mean, if he's saying that retail investors have lost money, Barkha, this is the script of 2023 February being repeated. When people were saying that, oh, LIC is going down, SBI is going down. Mr. Jha was there with me on a channel when he was saying all this. But that is not how the markets work. It's not at all how the markets work. It's not at all how the investors work.
Okay, let me take your last point. I was going to bring that up, and you did, that Rahul Gandhi's own portfolio is up. The reason this is Sanjay is publicly available is his portfolio is available in his affidavit, right? So you can actually track it. There have been media reports on this, that even Rahul Gandhi has recovered what he lost, as would have other people. The market has gone up, down, and up again. And it's back at an all-time high today. And that is the nature of the market. The market has a will of its own. Please respond, Sanjay.
Well, Barkha, I think that's such a preposterous proposition. I don't think even it's worth responding on. Anybody with any portfolio of the market is on a bull run for whatever irrational reasons or rational reasons, the value will go up. I mean, Amit Shah's portfolio too has gone up. I mean, that's a very irrational argument. Let me focus on the bigger issue here. And I think Sherbir has raised what I think is the seminal problem that we're discussing. What has led to this entire conversation, right? That the exit polls were suspect, could be rigged, and that is the basic allegation that a lot of people are making today, is damaging the credibility of the big media even further, because they are conduits in that entire process. And because of the exit polls forecasting a major BJP success, which was basically belied a few days later, that volatility played basically into the minds of those who probably leveraged it for their own short or long positions. Now, here is the simple point, that I think the political system, which we all know is terribly corrupted, has to stand up and take accountability for two things. Number one, politicians, and this is unprecedented, politicians, and that to the two most formidable people, not just in the government, but in India, right? Everyone says this is a Modi Shah regime. They are openly talking about stock market buying. This is literally a signal. You know how, Barkha, we talk about dog whistling for political gains. This is literally a signal to the markets that go ahead and buy. It cannot be more unambiguous. And I feel that is an act of extreme irresponsibility.
But just to counter that, wouldn't a citizen make up their own mind? They're autonomous beings, right? If Modi says or Amit Shah says the markets are going to soar on the 4th June because hum jeetne wale hain, that's just a neta talking. I'm not going to make my investment basis some neta talking of any party, right, Sanjay? I'm not going to do that.
Barkha, I know.
I understand that it's election season. Wait, let me just understand it. I'm trying to understand it. It's election season. Everybody is going to make big claims. हमारी सरकार बनने वाली है, बीजेपी कहेगी, कांग्रेस भी कहेगी. Am I going to make my investment choice based on that political rhetoric? That's all I'm trying to understand.
Barkha, here's the short answer. The politicians go campaign and ask us for votes, but we make up our own mind. But here you're talking about a system where stock markets are basically a vehicle for people to invest, for some people to kind of raise funds. I mean, it is basically a public space which is meant to be transparent, where life savings are put in. And you have heard of cases, right? When stock markets get wiped off, people have committed horrible acts, right? Because they have been devastated.
I agree.
This is not something that you take casually at all. Therefore, my point, there's my one point. After that, I'm done. Pradeep Gupta, and with due respects to the gentleman who heads Axis, okay, his was one opinion or exit poll that said Mr. Modi will cross that 400 par, gaslighting number that Mr. Modi had been campaigning on since January. He was one of the two or three who said 400 par. Now, let me tell you, wasn't it the responsibility of Pradeep Gupta or the TV channel that he represented on that particular day to make a disclosure that Pradeep Gupta and Axis also has been doing polling on behalf of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and obviously under the instructions or knowledge of both the Prime Minister and the Home Minister? That is a critical disclosure that is conspicuous by its
Okay.
absence.
Okay, let me come in here because you've raised. I don't know about Pradeep Gupta's clients. I should say Pradeep Gupta has to speak for himself. Tushar, very briefly, then Sherbir, then Ashwani ji. Tushar, briefly. Tushar, yeah.
Since Sanjay Jha made this point about gaslighting, Rahul Gandhi's equity holdings went from zero in 2014 to quite a significant amount in 2024. He's the one who's going around saying that Indian democracy in danger, Indian economy is in danger, yet his stock portfolio is up. So if you're talking about gaslighting, who is gaslighting? Again, Barkha, with great responsibility, I'm telling you, serious retail investors also, and the retail investors are also quite aware these days, do not base their investment decisions on the basis of any exit poll. They have a mind of their own, they have a will of their own, they understand how the macro indicators of the economy are moving, and that is how they invest. And last point, no one invests when the exit polls come out. No one buys in when the market is already on a high. You buy the dip, you do not buy the high. It's that simple.
Let me bring in Sherbir. I think Sherbir is as you identified. There are two issues, and Sanjay is linking them. But can we link them? Is my question to you. Exit polls got it wrong. The exit polls are shrouded in some absence of transparency, is a point that a lot of people would agree with. And the exit pollsters should be transparent about their other conflicts of interest. That's one point. And exit polls could have triggered some volatility in the market. The other point is to say that when Modi and Shah make political statements and even the market invests its confidence in us, somewhere they're involved, which is what Rahul Gandhi is saying, in triggering the market. Right? Now, these are two things where Congress is joining the dots. Are you joining the dots?
No, I'm not. And I think I agree partly with Sanjay, I agree partly with Ritesh. And let me put this...
With Tushar, not Ritesh. Tushar.
My sincere apologies. My sincere apologies. And I'm going to define the issues in my assessment as follows. Assessment number one is that I do not believe, whatever political differences one may have with the Prime Minister and Home Minister, with a great sense of responsibility, I do not believe that that they would have the intent, which is the critical component. They would have the intent to result in losses to retail investors. I think that's where we are stretching the ambit too far. That said, I do not believe it is the place for, in political discourse, for the Prime Minister and the Home Minister to make statements on buying stocks. Full stop, period, no ifs and buts as far as that is concerned. And the reason for that is that while Tushar rightly identifies that, look, markets go up, your portfolio goes up, it comes down, long-term holdings, there are multiple types of investors. There are those who do short-term holding. There are those who do day-end trading. And we're not talking about the sophisticated investor who understands macroeconomics. The investor who would be swayed is where the Prime Minister and Home Minister hold a position of trust. And taking that position of trust, either on account of support or on account of the high and dignified office that they hold, do make a decision to enter. And we're not talking about the exit polls. So we're defining the issue differently. We're talking about their statements, which happened earlier, as early as 19th May, where the Home Minister made a statement to this effect. That is where, so there is a statement of them making the statement, and coupled with there is the element of it being to see if there could be political gain derived from that, as you rightly said, whether the corporates are supporting us or the markets are supporting us. And I do believe that would be an election code violation, which should be assessed separately, but it cannot be equated that they were behind a grand conspiracy to cause losses to retail investors. I believe, political differences aside, we should not go that far. As far as the exit pollsters are concerned, I have a completely different view on the level of responsibility. I'm not privy to the facts Sanjay is, but if those facts are true, in any event, all of them, neither in terms of their disclosure of their methodologies, disclosure of their fundings, disclosure of the scientific scientific manner in which they went about making these exit polls. They truly deserve to be put on the mat and truly deserve to be investigated as to what were the circumstances that resulted in them making the statements that they did make, with the shroud of it being professional and credible. I have no problem, if we can argue it ad absurdum to say that the exit polls, of course people who invest in markets are supposed to know, nobody relies on exit polls, but the fact of the matter is that we had a market altering event that took place on account of their statements, and they deserve to be held accountable for these actions, and they haven't been. And if they want to say that there is all trash talk as far as what they do, then they better have that, and all news channels better carry massive caveats and disclaimers on screens, letting the world know that these exit polls are basically somebody's opinion, and after talking to 5 people.
Okay, those are strong, passionate words there. In our last few minutes, let's talk about what should happen next. Ashwini ji, without getting into political commentary, what do you think the new government should do? The opposition has demanded a JPC. I don't think a JPC is going to happen. But do you think that the exit pollsters should be investigated? How did they get it so wrong? Collectively, do you see some sort of pattern there?
See, nobody can read the minds of the people, and this applies to exit polls as well. And I'm very thankful to the Indian voters that they had not voted out the BJP-led NDA. Otherwise, what would have happened, that the stock markets would have crashed to a level of 60 to 65,000, and then there would have been a cause of JPC. But Indian voters have definitely done good by not voting them out. My humble submission here is, I always tell you that I don't make any political statement, but I have to bring in a statement here. The statement is that the leader of the opposition, he had been constantly making statements on Adani and Ambani. And when Hindenburg issue came, then Adani stocks lost hugely. Nobody talked about the JPC at that point of time. You see, this is basically a nature of the politicians to speak out. Obviously, whatever suits them, whether it is Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, or Rahul Gandhi, whatever suits them politically, they make statements. But linking them to that level, I don't think that would be a good idea, and very can say not a very good way of putting up this.
I think your last point is a very interesting point, and I want to take that to Sanjay Jha. Right? If I know, Sherbir, you disagree. Give me a second. Closing comment, Sanjay. If what Ashwini ji is saying is there was an impact on the market from the whole debate around Adani, right? He's saying it's in the nature of politics that politicians on either side will comment on issues that could impact the markets. That doesn't point to a necessary malafide. That's what I'm understanding. Whether it's Rahul or Modi, do go ahead. Last comments.
Firstly, I'm surprised that Ashwini ji is not even aware that the entire campaign on the Hindenburg report was to have a JPC. I mean, I'm surprised you're not aware of that. I mean, Rahul Gandhi and the entire opposition kept in parliament and outside talking about a JPC. So I don't know on what basis have you made that rather, I'm sorry to say, sir, I'll have to use a strong term, a very absurd attempt to divert this conversation. You are making a political statement, then you need to get your facts right. Here is the second point, Barkha, which is very important. That end of day, and this is the truth that we cannot ignore, this is political hubris at its peak. I said it at the beginning of your program. Narendra Modi and Amit Shah have the complete fundamental right, even within the model code of conduct, to claim victory politically. But to tell investors, whether domestic, retail, mutual fund, or foreign, that buy my stock because this is Modi's language, Prime Minister Modi's language, you will see records that you have never seen before. That's basically saying buy stock. And the question that anybody is going to ask, Tushar Gupta made a statement, and I need to tell Tushar where he's wrong. He said people don't buy in a booming market. He's wrong for two reasons. One, people buy in a booming market. When people start to see a rise, they buy more, which is why the market accelerates further into a hype. And then people buy more and it keeps rising. So he's wrong there completely in terms of stock market behavior. The second point, which is worrying, is what he exposed himself. Were people aware of the exit polls? Were they therefore investing prior? Not on that Saturday, the exit polls came out. Had people invested in the Thursday and Friday earlier because they knew what was in it? And Barkha, you and I both know politics very well. You and I both know that the results of the exit polls were known to political parties. They all knew what the pollsters had. Let's get real here. So there is a lot going on which is wrong. There could be a can of worms. It needs an investigation.
Barkha, I have the right to. I didn't make any political statement of that. I was not accusing Rahul Gandhi for that purpose. I was just simply saying that Rahul Gandhi ji also made a statement, and not one statement, several statements of such type. And investors lost a huge amount during that process. And now nothing has happened, and now Adani's shares are again back to the normal. Now what I'm saying is that should we keep? You see, you are a political person. I am not. Therefore, I can make a political statement like
One
this.
minute. One minute.
No, one minute. One minute, Barkha, one minute. One minute. It is not Rahul Gandhi's statement that tanked the market, sir. It was the Hindenburg report, and the world talked about it. I think you got your facts completely wrong.
But facts, once Hindenburg was saying so, but now the markets are again back, and Hindenburg is the.
Are you suggesting, Ashwani ji, because factually, of course, the Congress asked for a JPC. Are you saying, as I think you're saying, that Rahul Gandhi's remarks on Adani could have also hurt the Adani share? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly
what you're saying. Okay. Tushar, go ahead, and then Sherbir can close. Tushar? Yeah.
I agree with Sanjay Jha that it's not that Rahul Gandhi's. Just a second.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tushar? Can you hear us? Okay. Let me bring in Sherbir in the meantime. Sherbir, go ahead with your closing remarks.
Sure. So, Barkha, I think my closing remarks are largely what I have, a reiteration of what I have said. Starting with, exit pollsters need to be held accountable for their methodologies, for their statements, for their need for greater transparency and disclosure. And that's something the Election Commission of India needs to take up very, 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 very seriously on account of the impact that their actions have. That's number one. Number two is, since you had framed the question to all of us as to what now. Number two, is this an issue worthy of a JPC as far as the Prime Minister and the Home Minister statements are concerned? I do not believe so, that it is a matter worthy of a JPC. In the same vein, it is not an appropriate statement for the Prime Minister and Home Minister to make during a poll campaign. It is not a political statement. It's a statement made by somebody who has a position of trust, which can result in somebody not as sophisticated and who does not have a nuanced understanding of the markets to act on, and that is inappropriate. More importantly, it would fall within, in my judgment and opinion, it would fall within the ambit of being an improper electoral practice.
Okay,
I don't.
Tushar? Sorry, you were still speaking.
I want to make a last concluding remark. I think the element of linking this to the statements to the market crashes is far-fetched. There is no evidence to suggest so, and neither is there any malice to suggest so. So that's what my position on this would be.
Okay, that's a good nuanced position. Tushar, would you agree with that?
I agree with Sherbir on the part where he says that TV channels can have disclaimers that, whatever numbers we are giving out in our exit polls or opinion polls or, whatever routine polls they conduct, they have no bearing as to they are not a guarantee for how the markets may behave. So that part I really agree with Sherbir. But, I also agree with Sanjay Jha when he says that Rahul Gandhi's comments did not tank the markets. He's absolutely right. It was the prospect of Rahul Gandhi becoming the prime minister that tanked the markets. Look, the markets have a will. They like certain leaders. They do not like certain leaders. When you are carrying your manifesto, when you're mounting an attack on industrialists, on corporates, when you're talking about things like wealth redistribution, inheritance tax, the markets will respond to certain aspects. And that is what happened in the case of Rahul Gandhi. The story I told you from 2017 Gujarat is for this very simple reason that the markets are not too fond of Congress. They do not like the Congress for their reasons, for reasons best known to them. Perhaps Ashwani ji will elaborate on that. And when they saw that there was a chance that Rahul Gandhi may come back or the Congress may come back in power, the markets tanked. At 2 o'clock, around 3 o'clock, when this coalition looked stable, the markets were back. So you have to look at the behavior of the markets in context of which political party they see ascending to power. That's about it. Ashwani ji is right. Had today it been a UPA coalition or a Congress coalition, that is, the markets would have tanked. That's why he's thanking the voters, and so am I.
I think I must allow the two political or semi-political voices a quick rebuttal. So I'll start with you, Ashwani, and then I'll give Sanjay the last word. Ashwani ji. Hanji.
In fact, I don't have much to say, but the only thing is that I'm again repeating the same thing, that I'm thankful to the Indian voters for not letting the stock markets crash, and this is a let us hope that stock markets go to the level of 1 lakh. So that should be the next target. So in the next 1 or 2 years, the stock market will go up, and then by that time, even if the JPC is there, they will find it not worth to talk about such small ups and downs.
Sanjay Jha, to the argument that the markets showed a political preference, you would say, what is your concluding remark?
My concluding remark is that Barkha, I'm very much used to being trolled by right-wing economists, but let me give you the facts and data that exposes their lies all over again. Here is the truth. Dr. Manmohan Singh's government between 2004 and 14 gave you stock market returns of 423%. Under Mr. Modi, the returns are 262%. What is greater? 423 is greater than 264. The second point, why did that happen? During the time of Dr. Manmohan Singh, the economy grew at 7.8%. Under Modi, it's grown by 5.9%. So here is the truth. The perception is created that BJP is good for the markets. The truth is the Congress is good for the markets, good for the economy, and better for the country. And let's leave it at that.
Okay, we will leave it at that because the election is now over. I don't think we need political speeches anymore. But yes, I think we can all agree that the exit polls, certainly there has to be more transparency, more accountability from them. Otherwise, the same cycle, we're going to be in this deja vu moment when the exit polls come out for the next set of elections. Leaving it there, thank you so much to Tushar, Sherbir, Sanjay and Ashwani Mahajan, and to our audience. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
We're at the Indian mainland's southernmost tip in Kanyakumari, the confluence of the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean. It is from here that we're beginning our big road trip to the heart and the soul of India, Havas of democracy. That's all about traveling thousands of kilometers to look at the food, the fun, the festivity, the flavors of this election, but also, of course, to tell the stories of you the people, of we the people. At Mojo Story, we have always gone to where the story is. It could be the battlefields of Israel and Gaza, it could be the conflict zone of Manipur, or it could be the sorrow and the tragedy of COVID. We think of all of you as members of our community, of our family. So, I'm urging you and requesting you today to help us tell your stories and our stories. So do become a Mojo member. Support and power our storytelling, but also get first access to our big interviews, our special ground reports, our town halls, and also have the opportunity to ask our newsmakers questions directly, as well as get published on our platform. Become a Mojo member, click on the link below, and see you soon.